It's a virtual meeting of RBKC's licensing subcommittee, and thank you very much for attending. I'm Councillor Soft McVeigh, and I'll be chairing this meeting. It's being held via Microsoft Teams and being streamed live. On the committee today, the subcommittee today, I will be chairing it, and we have fellow councillors, Councillor Wesson and Councillor Healy. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, Councillor Wason here from Camden Ward.
I'm Councillor Pat Healy from Dalgarno Ward.
Thank you. And today we are looking at ZAYANE on 91 Golborne Road, London W10, for 3 tables and 6 chairs and planters in the pay-by-phone parking bay in front of the premises. I declare I have no interest in this. Councillors, can you do a declaration of interest?
I declare I have no interest in this.
I have no interest in this either. Thank
you. And also, as we are remote and virtual, if I lose any connection, I would like to nominate a substitute chair. So, Councillor Healy, if it's okay, I'm going to nominate Councillor Wason.
Happy to do that, yes.
Great. So that is agreed. He will be the substitute vice chair. And today we are joined remotely by officers. And if you could also confirm your attendance when I say who you are. So we've got a transport licensing officer, Aisha Fleming. Can you confirm you're here?
I confirm I'm here.
And we have our contracts and enforcement manager, Ken Thompson.
I'm present, Councillor.
Thank you. And we have our legal officer, Lindsay Lemazurier.
I'm present too, Chairman.
Thank you. And we're also assisted by Anne Wright and Leonie Hill in governance. And can you please confirm your attendance as well? Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Chairman. Anne Wright here.
Thank you. And ground rules, please, can everyone turn their phones on mute and cameras off unless you're speaking? The chat function doesn't work. We're using hands. So, and everyone should have received the procedure. And I understand we have got some additional papers on this one. It was received from the applicant and already circulated by email. And perhaps Anne or Leonie confirm that everyone has received that. It's now on the screen, which is very helpful. Thank you. So the procedure of the meeting is we will have our transport officer outlining the case, and then normally would have the applicant would present what they wanted to say and would ask questions, and then the objector and they'd ask questions and would ask questions. But we have neither applicant nor objectors here today. So the committee will do our best to represent the information we have received and discuss it accordingly. And there'll be no summing up, and the committee will meet in private session to discuss everything, and the meeting will end. So let's get going. Ms. Fleming, are you able to outline our case for us, please?
I am. Okay, so good morning, everyone. As has been said, my name is Aisha Fleming. I deal with the processing of seasonal highways licenses, which were created to help businesses recover from the effects of COVID-19. ZAYANE has submitted an application for a seasonal highways license to place 3 tables and 6 chairs and planters in the parking bay immediately in front of the premises. They have been permitted to place those tables and chairs whilst the application was being processed. During the process, we received 6 objections to the application, which is the reason as to why it is now before the licensing subcommittee. The only other thing I have to add is at paragraph 4.1 of the report, it says that we sent consultation letters to the Courtfield ward councillors, which isn't correct. It should say Golborne ward councillors. I have nothing further to add.
Councillor McVeigh, you're on mute.
Thank you, Leonie. Thank you, Isha, for your report. That's very helpful. So now as a committee, we would normally turn to the applicant, which we can't do now. So we're going to turn to the report, and Ian, Councillor Ian and Councillor Pat, do you have any questions to ask Ms. Fleming while she is here?
No questions from my side.
Sorry, yes, I do want to raise one question. The objectors are all anonymous apart from one who can be identified. Do we actually know that these people are residents close to the premises?
Unfortunately, because this is a new the seasonal highways license is a new thing. It was this we are not sure as to how close they are. Usually, in regards to tables and chairs applications, we would not submit anonymous. We wouldn't allow anonymous objections. But obviously, because this is a new process and we are still kind of finding our way with it, it was decided to allow them in this instance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that question. It is important to understand where objectors come from. And Ms. Fleming, I have a question for you regarding the chairs directly outside the premises. So they have an existing tables and chairs license, the ones shown on the screen. Purple, yep.
Yes, I understand. My colleague Karen Brody deals with the pavement licenses. I believe she's on this call. Karen?
Yep. Good morning, everybody. I am on this call. They have applied and been granted a pavement license for the 2 tables and 4 chairs directly in front on the footway.
Thank you, Karen, for clarifying that, and welcome to this call. Thank you. Okay, so we have, of course, as a committee, read the objections and looked at the report and read the applicant's email. So we're now going to turn to our legal officer. There we go. Thank you for putting this on the screen, which we have all already read. So we're now going to turn to our legal officer to see if she has any questions at this point.
No questions from me, Chairman.
And Anne and Leonie, has any additional points?
Nothing from me, Chairman.
Thank you. I would actually just like to come back and just ask one more question, please. So Councillor Healy has explored the location of the objectors, so thank you for exploring that. I would just like to just comment about some of the backwards and forwardings that I've noticed between the applicant and the objectors, and the accusations of an attack. And I just want to be clear, have we had any police information about this? Has there been any police objections or crime reports about this area?
No, there hasn't.
There hasn't. Thank you for clarifying that, because that is an important part we need to take account of as a committee. So, committee, any other questions?
Not for me, no.
Yeah, just from my side, I mean, I really would sort of reiterate your last comment, because 3 at least of the objectors, 4 of the objectors have put that they are nervous of the owners and ramifications aside from the allegation that somebody was attacked and knocked down. So I think it's pretty important we get to the bottom of that as to where these objectors come from.
Thank you for that. Yes, and perhaps we could turn to the applicant, put the applicant's submission on the screen, because again, he's disputing these. So as a committee, we have to take both sides into account. And as a committee, we always try to recommend that the applicant and the residents or the objectors meet and discuss and try to come to an understanding about how they're going to work together. And unfortunately, neither parties are here today, so we can't encourage them to do that. But this is being recorded, and perhaps they'll be looking at this later on YouTube. So now I'm afraid we're going to have to call this particular hearing to an end, and the subcommittee will reconvene in private session and make our decision. And the decision will be sent to all parties within 5 working days. It's a summary decision in 5 working days. So thank you very much. I'm now calling this hearing to a close. Thank you. Special meeting of RBKC's licensing subcommittee, and thank you all for attending. I'm Councillor Soft McVeigh and I'll be chairing this meeting. It's being held today via Microsoft Teams and is being streamed live. Today before us we have the HANSOM cab case. HANSOM cab applicants, could you please put yourself on mute because we're getting a bit of feedback, I think, please.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you. And likewise, if everyone could keep themselves on mute until they're speaking, and it's up to you if you want to turn your camera on or off. So we have the HANSOM cab case before us, 84 Earls Court Road, London W8, and I confirm I have no declarations of interest in this case. On the committee today, I'm joined by Councillor Wason and Councillor Healy. Could you please introduce yourselves and confirm any declarations of interest? Thank you.
Good morning, this is Councillor Wason. I have no declarations of interest.
Good morning, this is Councillor Pat Healy. I represent Dalgarno Ward and I have no interest in this case.
Thank you both very much. And while we have you on, can I please also nominate Councillor Wason to be the sub-chair, in case I lose connection, the subcommittee chair, substitute chair. Councillor Healy, could you please nominate him?
Happy to do that, yes.
Thank you very much. So I will confirm that Councillor Wason will be the chair in case I lose connection. Thank you. And so we are joined remotely by officers. And if you could also please confirm your attendance, that would be great. We have our Transport Office Licensing Officer, Aisha Fleming.
I confirm I'm here.
And we can see on the list we have James McCool. Can you confirm?
I'm here.
Thank you. And Karen Brodie.
Yes, I'm here too.
Thank you. And Kenneth Thompson.
I'm here, Chair.
And then we also have Jerome Train and Leonie also be supporting us. So I believe you're all here. Thank you. And there have been no additional papers circulated. We have no objections joining us today, but we have the applicants. So we have Mr. Malhotra and Mr. Wahi. Can you please confirm your attendance, please?
Yes, we're both here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And please correct me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong.
No, that was correct.
Thank you very much. And for clarity, I've briefly outlined the procedure, but again, this has all been circulated and is all online. We will have the transport officer will outline the application, and then the applicant, the HANSOM cab team, can present their case, and the committee will ask you questions. And then normally we'd have the objectors presenting their case, and likewise we'd ask the questions backwards and forwards. But unfortunately, there are no objectors here today. So as a committee, we will try to kind of highlight some of those objections and represent them as best as we can. And then we will turn to our legal officer, Ms. Lemazurier. Sorry, I haven't confirmed if you're here. Can you please confirm your attendance as well?
I'm present. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And she will see if there's any more questions or conditions. And there will be no summing up and the meeting will end. So, and can I please remind everybody that we have read all the papers and it's very helpfully on the screen as well. So if there's anything you want to draw our attention to, any parties, please just ask. Who is controlling the screen today? Is that Leonie? I think. Anyway, please just ask for this. Thank you. Please just ask for it to be taken to the relevant page. Right, let's get going. Thank you.
Okay. HANSOM cab applied to place 4 tables and 16 chairs in the parking bay on the Pembroke Square frontage of the business. And I do apologise because it says in paragraph 1.1 Pembroke Road, it should say Pembroke Square. Between the hours of 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. on Mondays to Wednesdays, and between 11 a.m. and 10 p.m. on Thursdays to Sunday. The premises has been permitted to place 4 tables and 16 chairs whilst the application is being processed. We've received 7 objections and 2 letters of support regarding the application. I have nothing further to add.
Thank you very much. That was very concise, but as you say, we have all got the report, so thank you for that. So I'm now going to turn to the HANSOM cab. Would you please like to present your representation? And you have up to 10 minutes. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to put our case forward. We just want to give you a little bit of a brief how we started up, and we'll just go briefly into the objections and what we've done against them. We started off around the end of June, 20th of June, with a takeaway service from our pub. We had taken some email correspondence with the council also, and they had suggested that yes, we have off-premise license and we can start a takeaway service. We had started this takeaway service because times were really, really tough, and we had to start beginning somewhere. The takeaway service had picked up towards the end of June, and that is when it was announced that the pubs are going to reopen on the 4th of July. During the takeaway service timeline, we did not allow anybody inside the pubs. It was just plastic containers, and they could go around anywhere. Yes, we do understand that towards the end of this service, towards the end of June, first week of July, there was a congregation of people outside of the pub. But on the 4th of July, when we started the premises inside and the outside seatings, we had a very limited number of people standing outside of the pub. A week later, now 2 weeks, we had towards the end of June and first week after opening from the 4th of July, we had not good trade, but we had some trade, which was good considering the past that has just happened over the past 3 months. On the 11th of July, we were visited by a council member, and the council member had spoken to Abhinav over the telephone and had suggested to us that we should apply for a seasonal highway license, and that will help us control the people outside of the premises, and especially the standing in the congregation. We took that point immediately. Also, at that point of time, on the 11th, from the 12th of July, we stopped our takeaway service completely. The guidelines that were set out by the government, we strictly put them as a rules and regulations. So we had no people standing at the bar. We had no service to people who were not seated either inside or outside in the permissible seating spaces. And there was no takeaway service. And last order was at 9:45 p.m. and 10 o'clock, the pub was being shut down. And this was implemented right after the suggestion of the council member post the 11th of July visit. Now, from July up till now, August and September, we had applied for a seasonal license. End of July, we got a conditional approval. And it initially said from the frontage of number 49 Pembroke Square. After a couple of weeks, it was changed from not the frontage, the part frontage was removed, and it was set just from 49 till the end of the resident parking bay. So the area was reduced a little bit so that our neighbors don't have people sitting right in front of their entrance. So that part of the objection was also taken care of. The months of August and September have not been busy months for us. Eat Out to Help Out did help us a little bit, but towards the end of the month of August, not towards the beginning. Also, the latest regulations that have come out, we have gone even more stricter. We do not allow people, we are now closing our last order at 9:30 p.m. We have reduced that also. There is only table service allowed. That we have been doing since the 11th of July. We have an app-based ordering system also. So we are taking care of the main objections, which were safety of people, which we believe was the most important part. So we have very strict rules and regulations that have been seen by people also. Now, The second main objection that we see is noise. We don't have any outdoor music at all. We have our last orders, like I said, at 9:30 p.m. If any of the council members have been around, we rarely ever have a mass of people or a group of people sitting outside post 8 o'clock, 8 in the evening. So noise, I would say, could have been an issue when we had the takeaway service at the end of June, first week of July. But post that, when summer went in, we don't believe noise has been a major issue. There is much more noise from traffic than our customers who are actually based or sitting outside here. So, I mean, in summary from my side, I'll let Abhinav close it. In summary from my side, it is that the objections were valid, and we did take a good commitment towards them, and we did find immediate resolutions for them, and the council actually supported us quite a bit. For that, we are extremely thankful. And we would request the council to please grant us this license, because with these new regulations coming up probably tomorrow or day after, we believe outdoor seating is of prime importance for our survival in this business. Now I'll let Abhinav sum it up for you.
I think the only other point I would really like to add, apart from Sagar, is that we've worked with the council and the neighbours continuously since the closure and then post-closure and the reopening. And we've tried and accommodate everybody possible. So our immediate neighbours, the 48 and 49, who had an issue with the area of people sitting in front of their premises, so that's been reduced out so that we don't actually encroach that area, and they don't feel uncomfortable that there's people sitting and maybe prying inside what's happening in their houses. So we've done that. We've gone through the right channels of, applying for a street license, so that post the 31st of October, then we still have some limited seating outside. And basically, we are here to work with the local community and not just work it as a business, because we understand we have to coexist here. The locals are our customers as well, so we can't just tell them that they're not important. They are very important to us, because if they don't exist, then we don't have a business to run. And hence, we are happy to kind of work with them in any other way that is possible. We conditionally, that license is there till the 31st of October, pending this review, obviously. And as Sagar has already put in, we would really like to have it until then, so that we can maximize the last bit of good weather that we might get over the next 2-3 weeks. I suppose that from November onwards, the weather is going to really turn, and I really don't think there's going to be much scope of sitting outside, especially without heaters and things like that. We don't really have that anyway. So whatever business we can do in the next couple of weeks is predominantly there till March, starting of April. And that's all we have basically to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and then I'm going to turn to my fellow councillors to ask a few questions. Sure. I'm very pleased to hear that you're taking the safety of people importantly, as seriously as you are, which is incredibly important, particularly in these COVID and social distancing times. And just for clarity, the photograph as you see on the screen now,
yes,
was that before you pulled it back a bit to be in front of the pub? Or is that, I can't quite see, is that lines up with the end of your premises?
So even initially, when the license was first, 4th of August is the first day that we put in, and we had the option of going up to 49. We never actually went all the way through, because we only needed 16 chairs and 4 tables. So there was no point in actually going all the way across. So this photograph is taken, and the line till where it goes is actually till about the middle of the door of the entrance door for the property, and which has been scaled back further now.
Okay, understood.
Sorry, Madam Chairman, could I answer that question?
Yes, please.
Because initially, when we allowed them to have the tables and chairs out, the plan submitted didn't really show that it was going to be that the tables and chairs were going to be in front of the residential premises. So that wasn't really clear. But obviously, from seeing the photograph, I then realised as to that this is probably the issue why they were having so many objections, because the tables and chairs were in front of residential premises. So I contacted the applicant and said to them to move the tables and chairs down so that they were more so on the single yellow lines and in front of the pub rather than being in front of the residential premises.
Great, thank you for clarifying that. That is very helpful. That does make much more sense. Thank you. And so, if we could just make sure then that's clear. That's clear as a matter of record. Thank you. And then I have another comment about the takeaway service. Because to be honest, we did find that all across the borough when that was happening at the end of June, early July. We found that was you were not alone in the issues you were having. So thank you for managing that and trying to do something about that. So the other comment that comes up quite a bit is urination and litter. So my question to you is, what can you do to stop that, please?
Madam Chairman, I think those comments are posed pre 4th of July, when we were actually running only a takeaway service, and what we realized was it was a few people who would take drinks and food from the pub and sit around Pembroke Square, and we were not being able to control people who were on the other side of Pembroke Square, not exactly in front of our property. Which we acted on, and we kind of reduced what we were selling to them. Firstly, we were making sure they were actually walking past the property and going towards Holland Park so that they had more space to go through. And post the 11th of July, the takeaway service was completely cancelled, and it's only table service. And if you're not seated down inside or outside, then you're not served at all. We take orders on the table, so there's no plastic cups around, so there's no litter going through, gutters or the drains or anything like that. And quite honestly, that urination incident was probably a single incident that happened, and we've not heard anything from our neighbours after that.
Thank you for clarifying that. I'm now going to turn to my fellow councillors for any questions, please, they might have.
Yeah, just one quick question for me. It's really just a point. It says on here to place 4 tables, 16 chairs and planters on Pembroke Road. Obviously, you're not placing 16 planters. So it's presumably 16 chairs and 2 planters, 1 at each end of the screening. Is that correct?
So at the moment we have 16 chairs, 4 tables, 1 planter, and a beer barrel, basically to tell people that not to go past this area. Okay. Kind of defines the area better.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And 2 cones.
And 2 cones that were supplied by the council to kind of segregate the area.
Thank you.
Have you done? Okay. Yes. Yep. Just one question. I'm afraid I couldn't hear some of what you were saying. There was a bit of feedback on your mic. So I would be glad if you could clarify for me what you were trying to express about meeting with your neighbours and having a good relationship with the local people.
Madam Councillor, we are in constant touch with Kate, who is the chairwoman of the Freeholders Association for Pembroke Square.
Right.
And she kind of guides us in if there's any feedback from the locals living around us. regarding the pub business or customers and stuff. And we always try and work and find a solution to an issue if there is one. As we said before, we are there to coexist in this area. The pub is not going to go disappear, even if somebody else takes it over from us in the future. And the customers and the guests living around us are not going to go anywhere else as well. And also the people living there are our customers as well. So they spend good money into our pub. So we need to kind of coexist and find solutions if there's issues in the past or in the future. So as I said, when that urination incident happened, we took steps accordingly to make sure that we were not doing it. We were actually walking around Pembroke Square area at night to make sure we were collecting any plastic cups that we found. The footpaths was being washed in front of our pub regularly to make sure it wasn't left dirty or anything like that. Cigarette butts were being collected. So all those things we've implemented and made sure that we are not being a nuisance to the people living to us. And we also regularly host the Pembroke Square residents at the premises. So for Christmas or summer, whether it's a cocktail reception, so that we can interact with them, we can understand if they have any apprehensions, and build that relationship up.
Okay, thank you very much. That's helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Healy. And I just have one thing, and again, talking about coexisting, appreciate you understand that, and it's great to hear you have good relations, because so often in this committee we hear when relations have broken down, which is such a shame. So I'm very pleased that you are working with residents, which is great news. I actually have a question that might be better maybe for Ms. Fleming about one of the objections stated that because the tables and chairs have been allowed outside, it's contravening the consultation period. But I understand that is not correct, and that because of this new rule, that we are allowing the tables and chairs to be outside during the consultation period. I wonder if Ms. Fleming, if you could just confirm that for me.
Yes, I can confirm that. Obviously, this seasonal highways licenses were introduced to help businesses because of COVID-19, and we introduced it around June, July, and because we still have to follow the Highways Act, we have allowed premises to be able to place tables and chairs out during that period. The legislation does not say that we are unable to allow that, so we are not breaking any rules or any legislation in regards to that.
Thank you. But obviously, if it was completely unsafe, there are some you automatically refuse, aren't there?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Understood. Thank you. And I think also, so committee, what we have now, we would normally turn to the objectors, but we have no objections here. So I think we have tried to represent some of their concerns to the applicant here as fairly as we can. One thing that I did note has come up, which I wonder if governance could take a note of this. One of the residents talking about not being allowed to put double glazing in. I've made a note to take that up with the lead member of planning to find out more about that. I assume it's because it's in a conservation area, but I believe we're doing a new green planning thing. So that is for another committee. It's not for us, but I'm just trying to go through some of the objections before us. So I'm going to turn now to our officers for any questions to any parties here you would like to bring up, please. Let's start with Lindsay Lemesurier, please.
No questions from me, Chair.
No. Any transport officers wish to say anything at this point, please?
No questions from me.
Thank you. And governance, has anything been? Thank you. And governance, has anything been brought up that you wish to draw attention to?
Nothing from me, Chairman.
Thank you. And so we now have all the information we need. The subcommittee is going to withdraw and discuss the decision in a private session now. So I call this meeting to an end, and this hearing is now over. Thank you all very much for attending. Okay, we've just gone 12 o'clock. So welcome everyone to a virtual meeting of RBKC's licensing subcommittee. I'm Councillor Soft McVeigh. I'll be chairing this meeting. It's being held by Microsoft Teams and it's also being streamed live. The case before us today is a renewal application for a table and chairs licence for COTE 47 Kensington Court, London W8. And I declare I have no interest in this. And joining me on the committee today, we have Councillor Healy. If you could introduce yourself, please, and any declarations of interest.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Councillor Pat Healy. I represent Dalgarno Ward, which is a long way from these premises, and I have no interest to declare.
Thank you very much. We're also joined remotely by several officers. We've already heard from Karen Brodie, thank you, who's going to be our Transport Licensing Officer today. Thank you. And we also, I think, do we still have Ken Thompson on the call? Nope, I don't.
No, Chairman, Mr. Thompson is not in this meeting today.
Okay, thank you very much. And we have our legal officer, Lindsay Limazure. Do you want to confirm you're here?
Present, Chair.
Thank you. And then we have our governance officers, Anne Wright and Leonie, with us today. Thank you. And so just a few ground rules. If everyone could keep themselves on mute unless they're speaking, and it's up to you if you want to put your camera on or not when you are speaking. And just to confirm, we've had no additional papers. So that's good. And then we have the applicant here with us today. If you could please just confirm you are here. I have Mr. Mark Gudgeon and Fiorenzo Torre.
Mark Gudgeon present.
Yeah.
Thank you. And do we also have Ms. Inzani with us today, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Lisa Inzani present, solicitor for the applicant.
Thank you very much. I notice Lindsay's got her hand up. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to add that there were 2 additional photos submitted by the applicant.
Right, maybe we could get those up on the screen.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So just briefly before we get going, I'm going to outline the procedure of the case. We have no objectors present. I believe that is still correct.
There are no objectors present, Chairman.
Thank you. So the committee, we will do our best to represent some of the comments the objectors have made. And we will have our transport officer giving a brief outline of the application. Though, of course, we have got all the papers in front of us. And then the applicant will give their representation up to 10 minutes and we will ask you questions. And we will in that time try to accommodate some of the objectors' points. And then normally we'll then turn to the objectors, but they are not here. And then we will have a summing up and we will turn to our various officers for any more information. So let's get going. Ms. Brodie, would you please like to give an outline of the application, please? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. As you said, this is a renewal application for a highways licence for COTE at 47 Kensington Court. The request is made to place 8 tables and 16 chairs in front of the premises between 8 AM and 10 PM, Mondays to Sundays. They have had a licence at this premises for some time, although in the early days it was planning permission was only given for 4 tables and 8 chairs because 4 tables and 8 chairs were placed on privately maintainable highway on the premises frontage. So because of objectors to this application, we are presenting it to the licensing committee for determination. I have nothing further to add.
Thank you very much for that. Sorry, struggling with my mute and unmute button. Thank you for that. That was very concise. Lindsay, is your hand still up or is that an old hand?
That's an old hand, sorry.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry, beg your pardon. It's all done.
Well done. Fantastic. Thank you. And just to remind everyone, we're not using the chat function on this. We are raising the hand symbol if you need to draw my attention to anything. Thank you very much. So, applicant, would you please like to present your case? And bear in mind, we have read all the papers, but please do highlight anything you'd like to draw our attention to, and we can move it on the screen. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I represent COTE this afternoon. So, and I'm grateful to Miss Brodie for outlining the report. I represent COTE. COTE Restaurants Limited have been at this site for many, many years and have been part of this community. They have held a tables and chairs licence at the site since 2012, and we have never had to go to committee to renew the licence, nor have we ever had to come to committee in relation to any complaints that have been made in relation to those tables and chairs, both when there were slightly less tables and chairs outside and now with the application that's before you. You will, of course, have read your papers, and I'm grateful for the report that's been submitted because it does outline everything. So I don't want to go on and on because the facts are there. We have today Mark Gudgeon, who's Head of Projects and Development for COTE, and also Fiorenzo Torre, who is the General Manager, who's in charge of the day-to-day running of the site for any particular questions that you have at the end of my presentation. You will see at your report at point 2.1 and 2.3 of the report that meetings have taken place between my clients and the residents. And I have to say, most of those do not relate to the tables and chairs. There were other issues that they raised in relation to several of the premises nearby. And in fact, and I'd like to, and Mr. Gudgeon can confirm, because he was at that meeting, that we have shown up to every single meeting and in fact have arranged those with your officers and with the residents, and have always responded to anything that has been raised by the residents in relation to the various sites in Kensington Court. Also, it's important to know at point 2.1 and 2.3 that there were certain references made to tables and chairs not being put out correctly and noise disturbance. And you'll see the officer's report saying they visited, and in fact, when they visited, there was no evidence to support those complaints. And I think that's an important point to make. The report also helpfully identifies the location both of the residents and of the premises for COTE, and also in particular there are other sites there that benefit from tables and chairs licenses, and I would like to draw your attention to two of those sites, one being ZAYANE, which has a tables and chairs license from 11 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. Monday to Sunday, and Golborne, which has a tables and chairs license from 8:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday to Sunday. The renewal application before you, as you know, is from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Sundays. So that is considerably less than other sites which benefit from tables and chairs very nearby. In summary, I'd just like to reiterate the report and the evidence provided in that report from your officers, and also the summary made at page 3.7.1, where the officer has considered the application in full. It complies with your policy in relation to the area outside and the furniture to be placed outside. It complies with the hours that you would accept. It complies with the planning permission, and there is no evidence of any breach. And the officer has recommended that the application be granted on those terms. Chair, that is my application. As I've said, Mr. Gudgeon and Mr. Torre are here with any specific questions that you may have in relation to the running of the premises. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Yes, it's great that you have the actual operators here, because it's always helpful to be able to ask them questions. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I'm glad to see that you draw attention to that you've been operating since 2012. So that is good. And I have a question I'd like to ask you about the terminal hour of 10 p.m, particularly as you mentioned it in regards to your neighbouring premises, that they have much later ones. What do you think about one of the applicants has said kind of 9 p.m, or one of the objectors, sorry, has said said about 9 p.m. What's your view on that hour?
Sorry, I was going to respond to that, Chair, unless you want to hear from Mark Gudgeon, or I don't know.
I'm happy to hear from you. That's fine.
Chair, 10 p.m. is when we have to remove the furniture. So in effect, my clients have to kind of stop outside at 9:30 to clear. But it is important to have those hours. Otherwise, the customers are being rushed. I have to reiterate this. I've acted for COTE from the day that they went in here. We have never, ever come before you for a renewal. We've never had a problem. Problems that have been raised relate to other matters which do involve other sites as well. And we've never, ever had a problem in relation to this site. I would like to ask Mark on this, and I think it's important that you hear from him, Chair. But, you know, at the end of the day, that is very much part of the brasserie, the ambiance that they have out there. And in particular, in these very, very uncertain times, to have those hours curtailed would be financially and operationally a disaster.
No, understood. I was just exploring that.
Sure. I don't know if you want to hear from Mr. Gudgeon on that, because, or whether I've satisfied your concern.
Maybe we'll come back to it in a minute. I just have one question about the plan on the map, on the Appendix B. I think it's just a typo on Appendix B here. If you scroll down to the map, please. Thank you. It says entrance to flats above. I assume that's wrong because it's in two places. So the entrance to the flat is there where the cursor is now, not inside your premises, I assume.
Sorry. Yes, Chair. Yes, apologies. That's absolutely right. They have their own entrance.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I have one question maybe that actually Mark Duggan could just clarify for us. Is the problems with residents accessing the entrance to their flats?
Sorry, I wasn't aware of a problem with the residents entering their flats.
People. One of the objections, people waiting around outside, or I mean, I'm just going through the objections because we don't have the objectors here with us today. Saying too many people in front of flats. Is that anything you've experienced?
Definitely not. I'd imagine that Fiorenzo will be able to back me up on that. But there's plenty of space on the pavement for anybody to get around the seating area, and the entrance to the flats to the left of our premises are the flats above our restaurant. They're leased to tenants by us. So if we had any issues with that, then we would be able to deal with that ourselves. But as I say, I'm not aware of any issues with people not being able to access their flats.
Okay, good to hear. Thank you very much. So I'm now going to turn to my fellow councillor, Councillor Healy, for any questions.
Thank you, Chair. I was just unmuting. Yes, I'd like to raise a couple of issues that have been made by the objectors. One of them says that there are already too many tables and chairs out there, and talks about more creating an obstruction. In the meantime, we can hardly walk on the pavement as it is, as it has also become a cyclist lane. Are you aware of that? Is there any evidence to show that the pavement outside the premises is basically a cyclist lane? I don't think it means an official one. I think it means one that has just arisen. Do you have any evidence for
that? Not to my knowledge, no. But unfortunately, we're not able to police the pavement outside. So. It may well be that people use that as a cut through, but as I say, it's not within our control. And the tables and chairs that we have outside are not causing any further obstruction.
There is at least 3.6 metres of gap between the furniture and the curb. I also, Councillor, I think Karen Brodie wants to answer the question about the cycling.
I do. It has been a cycle route for some time, and it has never been an issue before.
Sorry, what do you mean it has been a cycle route? Is it an officially designated cycle route, or has this just happened over time?
I believe it is already recorded as such. It is not a new thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I think that happened because it used to be tarmacked, and then when they paved it all over, I believe they also allowed cycles to still go through. But we could always find out more about that. Councillor Healy, any further questions?
Just one further one. I got the impression from the opening presentation that the applicants believe that the complaints that have been made, or rather the objections that have been made to this application, have more to do with other premises. Could they expand? Could you expand on that, please?
One moment. Mark, could you respond? It's not about other. I know that we've had meetings with them with other premises for other things. Mark.
Sorry, I was distracted by an employee in the restaurant. Could you repeat the question?
The question was that I got the impression from Mrs. Inzani that the complaints that have been made about the application to renew the licence have to do with premises other than COTE. Can you expand on that, please?
Well, I mean, I think we have an interesting setup there with the residents. We, as Lisa stated, we've had cause to meet with them with reference to early deliveries from suppliers, issues surrounding refuse collections, all of which were dealt with and resolved. But as we are one operator in a short stretch of road with at least 4 other restaurants there, plus a convenience store on the corner, the issues weren't always down to us, but we've always met with residents to resolve them and come to a successful conclusion.
Fine, thank you very much. That's
Thank you very much for that. I can hear you in a busy establishment, Mark. So yes, as we always try to say in this committee, we always try to encourage residents and operators to work closely together. And so it sounds as if you are doing that, which is always good to hear. And we always understand in RBKC that everyone has to coexist in this densely populated borough. So now, as you know, we would normally turn to the objectors. They're not here, so we can't do that. So I'm going to turn to the officers to see if they have any questions they would like clarification on. In particular, I'm going to start with Lindsay, please, our legal officer. Thank you.
No questions from me, thank you, Chair.
Transport?
No questions from me, but I would just like to make a point. Earlier on, it was recorded that Prezzo had a 12 o'clock close time. They have, in fact, got a 10 p.m. and there is a typing error on my appendices that says 11. It is, in fact, 10 p.m.
Thank you for clarifying that. That is always very helpful to see where everyone else is on the similar street. Thank you very much. So I think we now have all the information we need for the committee to retire to private session, and this hearing will shortly end, and we will try to get the decision out to you as soon as possible, definitely within 5 working days of this meeting. Thank you very much. This hearing is now closed. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh.